You know, we spend billions of dollars on this game, treat it like a religion, and paint our faces, but the whole thing is named after a child's toy, a Super Ball, literally a bouncy ball.
The Talking Gruse, bringing you the less serious side of the news. Now, your host, the Gruse.
Welcome back to the show. I'm the Gruse, and this is the only halftime report that legally cannot be sued by the NFL because we have no money. Today, while everyone else is watching overpriced commercials and pretending to understand pass interference, we are looking at the bizarre, the surreal, and the frankly stupid history of the big game. Because let's be honest, the game is just filler between the snacks. Let's start with the important stuff, the food. We are estimating that Americans will consume 1.42 billion chicken wings this Sunday. Billion. That is enough wings to circle the earth 3 times. Well, you know, that gives foul play a whole new meaning. That is a genocide of chickens for a 3-hour event. And speaking of birds, let's go back to 1967. The very first halftime show. They didn't have Rihanna on a floating platform? No. They had pigeons, 300 pigeons. They just released 300 pigeons into the air. That was the entertainment. Quote, "Here, look at these flying rats," unquote. I imagine the cleanup crew had a wonderful time the next day, but here is the kicker about that first Super Bowl. Nobody taped it. CBS and NBC were too cheap to save the tape, so they taped over it, like it was a soap opera. The only known recording of the very first Super Bowl was found in 2024 in a priest's attic. I could just say it. Why does a priest have the only copy of the Super Bowl? Was he taking confessions from the quarterback? Quote, "Forgive me, Father, for I have intercepted," unquote. And while we are talking about people losing their minds, let's talk about Barrett Robbins, Raiders center, Super Bowl 37. The man disappears the day before the biggest game of his life. Where is he? Tijuana. He shows up 24 hours later, totally incoherent, thinking the game was already over and that the Raiders had won. That is a level of confidence or delusion that I frankly aspire to. Now, people bet on everything. But in Super Bowl 55, we had a genius. A streaker in a pink leotard ran onto the field. Why? Because he bet $50,000 that there would be a streaker. He bet on himself. That is insider trading in its purest form. But the sportsbooks voided the win because his investment strategy was a little too hands-on. And speaking of bad bets, imagine buying a ticket to the Super Bowl at Cowboys Stadium in 2011. You pay thousands of dollars, you show up, and your seat doesn't exist. 400 people got there and realized the stadium wasn't finished. They bought a ticket to stand in a hallway. That is the most expensive standing room in history. But even if you win the game, you can't have nice things. After the Patriots won Super Bowl 53, Rob Gronkowski, because of course it was Gronk, decided the Vince Lombardi Trophy was a baseball bat. He bunted a pitch with the solid silver trophy, dented the thing, a $50,000 dent. Well, you know, that gives heavy hitter a whole new meaning. And finally, sometimes nothing happens. In 2021, the bettors were sweating. What color is the Gatorade shower going to be? Blue? Orange? Clear? It was nothing. No shower. The coach stayed dry. The bettors lost everything. It was the driest Super Bowl in history. Unlike Alicia Keys in 2013, who decided to sing the national anthem for 2 minutes and 35 seconds. She holds the record. You could have cooked a hot pocket in the time it took her to say, "Home of the Brave." So there you have it. Pigeons, missing seats, Tijuana trips, and dented trophies. The game is fine, but the chaos is better. If you enjoyed this descent into madness, hit that like button and subscribe, or we will release 300 pigeons into your living room. See you next time on This Week in Weird, brought to you by TV.